Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm alright. Just, yeah, but,
What's your state ID?
1764.
Yesterday evening after the chat with Frodo, I gave instructions to one of my marshals to deploy some of our assets. This is something I only note to members of High Command, but there are marshals that you will not see on the book, so to speak, right? You run the roster, you run the key list, etc., and they're not going to pop up on there. They're only known to a select number of our IAA officers.
Okay.
They were deployed to for Frodo. Another was later deployed for Lucy. Frodo, due to some concerns I had. Lucy, concerns I had following the interrogation. I'm not sure if you had a chance to listen to it.
No. I haven't caught up with anyone that was involved in any of the interrogation stuff last night.
Obviously, you know, I don't want to summarize my interpretation of those interrogations. I think that's worth doing independently. Those interrogations were run by Vivian, by V Gray and Jong. It started with Lucy. It was followed by what's his name, Paul. High level, the Lucy interview went well. I primarily listened for the first like 40 minutes, hour, whatever. And I then came to ask some very key questions because there's a lot that she was stating, but there was a lot that she was sort of skipping over. I had two intentions for this. The first was whether there was any motive that was derived prior to Bubba's actions. But the second was, I believed it to be important, criminal matters aside, whether there was any form of, like, let's say non-criminal, if not criminal, conspiracy to take the existing PNT from the LSPD and migrate it in whole. This came to mind primarily from the words that Lucy herself was bringing up. Like, she didn't say this directly, but the statements that she was making really sounded like Bubba, Frodo, and that class of cadets had numerous conversations about being unhappy and finding a different solution. I then started asking some rather pointed questions, at which point she mysteriously could not recall details. Now, I very intentionally brought up that we were investigating corruption, specifically asked her what corruption was. The intent of that was to see whether that would go anywhere. Roughly 40 minutes after her leaving, she got in contact with Frodo, and subsequently this conversation then led to those photos that you're seeing right there.
So this is them up there? Because obviously they're quite far away, I couldn't tell. Okay. So I can see Maxwell.
It's going to be Maxwell, Peach,
I see Peach now.
Pred, Frodo, and Lucy.
Oh yeah, I see the red of Lucy's hat. Okay.
Now, like I said, the context of these photos and the interesting bit as of this meeting really derives from after you listen to that interrogation tape. It kind of I strongly believe that there has been intention for I would estimate at least 2 weeks, if not more, for this collective to, you know, I think Frodo's looking for a captain position somewhere else. And I think his package is this entire deal. Now, for me, from a professional level, hey, you want to go somewhere else? fine, right?
Right.
But to do it in this way is not only destabilizing, but it's I mean, yeah. So there you go.
Dismantling, right?
Exactly that. There's some clearer notes that Jong is going to have. He went through the interrogations again yesterday evening after midnight, so I wasn't around.
Okay.
And that will highlight a lot of the statements that were made. I will say that Paul seems rather just wants to do his job, but he's a part of that class. They're friends. I think there's just kind of and I think he kind of put it best when we spoke to him in that, you know, socializing, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's encouraged within police departments, but if that is a priority over everything else, and there is a mismatch between, look, in that interrogation, there's almost inferences that command should be directly be befriending these PPOs, and due to the lack of befriending, they have been held back. One thing that was interestingly highlighted is, as Lucy was sort of noting to us, that she feels like she was left behind, and her class feels like they were left behind, and that the only people keeping them around was Frodo and Bubba, because they understood them and they were trying to get them to the next phase. I then went to go look at the FTO reports, and some of them haven't had reports in weeks. To which I then asked, I was like, have they told you that they're writing FTO reports? Because these are the individuals that are responsible for making you full officers. They're the ones that give you the steps to get to full officers. So why is the concern around command? There was no answer. It was almost like, we are pointing the blame at command because we are being led to believe it is command that is holding us back, despite the fact that these friends, quote unquote, it's their damn responsibility. So anyways,
further in their narrative, this is exactly what I was thinking after the information I found out over the weekend, and that's without her interrogation. So that kind of confirms everything, basically.
She was more open about describing Bubba's concerns, his discussions revolving around a transfer. But the moment we started to bring up Frodo and then started going even deeper with Bubba, like I said, she conveniently did not recall. I think she realized we had kind of, in my opinion, caught her and what was going on, and she did not want to be forthcoming. And like I said, that's why I dropped the corruption line to see if she would go right to Frodo. And she did. And furthermore, a 311 came out by, and I've got it here somewhere. I didn't actually add it to a report, but there was a call about looking for Peach for a secret meeting, and there it was. So within the hour, this information had sort of gone out. Now, I will put this forward that I don't necessarily believe or have reason to believe that, you know, ODPD in this case, like, told Frodo to do this or that they planned for this. I think it's more likely that he concocted this plan as like a sales pitch, right?
100%.
Yeah. So
I don't think ODPD has told most of the officers to do what they're doing. I think the officers are the ones that want to go, instead of just being like, I would like to transfer when the time is right, because these are people I enjoy working with. They're trying to find a reason for leaving LSPD behind. That doesn't matter, but they're all doing the same thing. They're all trying to find that reasoning.
No, it's trust me, we've been dealing with this sort of thing for a minute now. It is garnering sympathy and sort of generating a enemy. It's like a strategy, right? It's you know, I mean, lack of a better word, it's just sag farming your way into another position. right?
Yeah,
I'm a damn it's victimizing yourself in order to get something. So yeah. So anyways, but yeah, like I said, both V and Jong have more breakdowns available. Whether any of these things sort of like cross into line of, you know, criminality is kind of going to be a bit up to debate. I have not gone through the subpoenas just yet. I imagine they have last night. But you know, at the end of the day, we're not planning to take the SASM isn't planning to take any action. So look, you guys need something or want us to look at a certain way, just don't feel free to ask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
right. Thank you.
Yep. I will say though that an ACR isn't the worst idea. And if that's something you would like us to conduct to kind of shield some of the impact, we can certainly do so. And the reason I say that is ACRs innately don't fuck anyone over. However, that they are a tool to sort of say, hey, that's bad, right? So, yeah. Anyways, all right.
I would like to obviously go through like the results of things from. Did their subpoenas go through? Do you know? They got them through. They got approved and everything.
Yeah, we got them last night. It took a minute for them to. We were caught up in a bunch of other things. Bubba was attacked twice yesterday.
I read. And,
Gooey, thank you the 14 months.
But I know just before I went off duty last night, there was a 911 from West Mirror drive about a man being hurt.
Yes.
And Ruby had requested marshal presence. So I knew something had happened, but I didn't think it was Bubba. I thought because of where the location was, I thought it was Maxwell's house and possibly Frodo. So I made sure when I got in this morning to check the reports, and then I saw that it was Bubba and he was attacked twice. But I also saw what he said to Ruby.
We have suspicions as to who it was. Ex-cop. It was actually pretty close to me for a while. He was very... Shit, I forgot his name now. I'd worked with him for like 2-3 weeks on investigations. The old guy, name's escaping me right now.
Joey Irons?
Yes.
His blood was there, right? On the scene? Yeah.
What's interesting, so that call went in. I sent Flores and Woods because I didn't want the same folks looking into Proto and Co. To, you know, there needs to be a bit of a separation, right?
Yeah.
So they went down there, they took photos and whatever. In fact, Springfield assisted as well because based on the photograph, right? You've got Bubba's blood, you got the casings, etc., and then a blood splatter sort of like in the middle of the road. And Springfield even noted, she's like, it almost seems like a local ran this guy over because how else would the blood be there? Right. There's no other indication of, you know, of any of that. Joey then, about an hour after the incident, came into Mission Row PD. I don't know what his intention was. Initially, we thought maybe he's turning himself in. I will say that I called him, and I was like, "Hey, Joey, how have you been? Long time. Did you do it?" And my intention there was to get him to turn himself in and do the right thing. When I said, "Did you do it?" he said, "Oh, what? You mean towing cars? Yeah, people get upset all the time when I'm towing cars," or something along those lines. But I know it was him. He fits the profile. There was a statement made by Bubba that, or someone that was an observer. It's in the report. Something about the shooter saying, "This is for my brothers and sisters." And listen, Joey also received his weapons license the night before. And apparently he had noted to officers in Mission Row PD that he had received that he had gotten a gun. He initially said he didn't have one and then said, oh yeah, I did buy one. So as to what its location is, it's unknown. But he was then subsequently stabbed later.
I saw that too.
Yeah. So
Bubba admits that it wasn't it Bubba who admitted in his statement that he was basically bragging about how he'd shot 3 cops just before that happened as well.
It's possible. I haven't gone through the entire report, but that's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he said something about he overheard someone shouting about how they were going to bomb BCSO. He basically said, hey, let me in on it. After all, I did shoot 3 cops. And he's admitted that in his statement.
Yeah.
And then obviously, did you read about what he said to Ruby in the hospital?
No.
Okay, let me find it. 1 second.
What the fuck?
He said to Ruby, he threatened Ruby York by saying, get away from me or the same thing will happen to you again.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, this actually reminds me. It almost seemed like Paul may have been coached and Lucy slightly coached.
Okay.
The reason I say that is I noted it the first time. Lucy mentioned something's wrong with Bubba. In fact, I think Frodo may have mentioned something similar. I wish we had recorded it, but Lucy stated something may be wrong with Bubba, blah, blah, blah. She really kind of leaned in on that. And Paul, who came shortly afterwards, and I have to relate the timestamps of the interrogations. I don't think there would have been a whole lot of time in between. But Paul came in and started saying the same thing. And now, don't get me wrong. It's not inconceivable that something may have transpired with Bubba leading him to lose his mind. However, after Paul had made the statement about something being wrong with Bubba, and I was like, that's odd. That's what Lucy said as well. And these guys aren't doctors and like blah, blah, blah. I kind of started poking a bit more questions, and he mentioned that Bubba has gotten more like emotional and more like it just something's wrong. And to sort of negate what I perceive as a like sort of like a concocted narrative, a defense that may later be utilized by Bubba to say expunge himself or whatever it may be. I later brought up Paul had mentioned that he got FDO'd for multiple hours the day before with Bubba, and that he was entirely coherent, and that it went well, and that he was locked in, etc., etc. And I don't think you can get the kind of brain damage where you only see shift 2 command and open fire. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that exists.
Yep.
So, all right. Anyways, well,
very, very convoluted.
Yeah.
I made sure that I saw Rhodes last night. I filled Rhodes in on all the unraveling since Saturday, because Rhodes was around on Saturday when that happened, but he hadn't been around since, so I filled him in on everything that was going on. So he is up to date now. Yeah, very strange. I don't really have words to explain how I think about or feel about the situation. It's very strange. What was interesting to me, it was that this took place at Dee's RV, so I don't know how they ended up there, Bubba and Joey. Maybe Bubba's staying with Dee or Joey's staying with Dee. I don't know.
I'm uncertain, to be honest. Yeah,
that loft is right next door to Maxwell, Peach, Jeb's house.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
then Ruby's like a few doors down, and then I'm a few doors down from there.
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay.
Yeah, we all live in the same area.
For what it's worth, I don't think anyone else is gonna. Okay, I take that back. I do have concerns that some of the PPOs, I wonder what their reaction may be. And I'm only noting that concern because based on those interrogations, because I think my highest priority here for me is, okay, Bubba did this. Will someone else do it? Right.
Yeah.
And I would caution being. Some of these PPOs think that they're done, right? So,
okay.
Yeah. So just kind of something to keep in mind. I'm not saying they're certainly going to do it. I'm just saying it's something to be.
I understand what you're saying. You know, we're all very cautious of things right now. Yeah.
They also there was what did they call it? They made a point that one of your PPOs they have a problem with. What is his name? The blonde guy with the buzz cut.
I think he might be Tim Evers. No, wait.
No, it starts with Mathers. Yes.
Mathers, yeah.
Which kind of stuck out to me because they're like, no one gives a shit about us other than their golden boy Mathers. And I was like, and I looked at the FTO reports and he's around all the time. And like I've had interactions with Mathers and he's great.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, cool. So he's learning to be a cop and you're not. Like, I mean, listen, I don't know how much they've been doing. I'm just saying I only went off the PPO reports. This guy's got a damn, like 2 of them a day and it's like every single day. I mean, so there was definitely hints of jealousy. I'm just hoping that they don't like fucking ocean dump this motherfucker, you know?
No, yeah, we'll be keeping our eye out on them pretty closely. I know that Dee did a welfare check on people after the news of Bubba, and the person that he spoke to was Paul. So I'd sent another senior officer who I work very closely with to assist Dee so that I could figure out what was sort of said in the meeting afterwards. And he said that a lot of the complaints, instead of talking about, I guess, what Bubba had done, was the frustrations with the PPO process. The fact that there was all these issues that he'd brought up to Frodo and Bubba, that they'd said that command were, you know, this is how command wants it, sort of thing. And in my head immediately, I just thought that they're deliberately being kept at that level to further the narrative that it's command doing this, not them in P&T.
Yeah.
And with you confirming, having looked at I didn't even think to look at the PPO reports. That makes sense. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
One of their complaints was they feel like they're being lapped by the people that were hired after them.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Well, and that's what was confusing. To be fair, when I initially looked up Lucy, for example, only 4 popped up because I guess there's something wrong with the search. But then I looked through it and her last report was from 3/15/2026. So that's it's a minute ago. And so
not great. I think Bubba was apparently in the middle or supposed to about to start a final on Saturday before all of this happened. Or he did do it, but obviously there's no record of it. And I think that was for one of those PPOs, possibly Paul. I'd have to double check with Ruby.
So I don't I asked you, I was like, did they tell you that they're writing reports? Did they tell you when the last time it's been done, etc., etc.? And there was sort of no answer for that. So I don't know. But see what today
really
brings.
Yep. It's interesting that the picture shows that Brad was. I've not seen Brad for a little bit, so I guess he's coming in, getting caught up on what's been happening.
I imagine it's very similar to the meeting we had with DOJ. I'm like, hey, is there like a chief appointed yet? And then,
Yeah.
you know, the bat signal went out, and 10 minutes later, Angel's getting a phone call, right? So I'm going out on a limb here that I said the word corruption and went Lucy, Frodo, Maxwell, bat signal.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, people think they are smooth, but, you know,
Oh, I know.
it's hard to be
I know.
smooth in San Andreas.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways. All right, baby.
Thank you for the info. Oh, that is probably looking for you. He said a whole lot more about me as he drove off. I just heard egotistical son of a bitch or something, and just left into it. But I thought I was being rolled up on and held hostage.
Jesus.
So he came up to me with a mask on. Just drove
I
straight
don't
up to
think
me.
this guy's violent. I think he's. I'll try to get a marshal to look at it.
Yeah, no worries. I did say he could 311 for one of yous, but he just wasn't having any of it.
Yeah. I will say that if it gets much, I would recommend sometimes feigning sympathy isn't the worst option.
Oh yeah, no. See, the thing is I would have, but he
Yeah.
was, the way that he approached the situation with me, and the way he was demanding a location, worried me to the point where I thought one of yous would be in danger.
No,
So I was
he's
just like, I'm not going to give you the location, but you could 311 out, and then he just called me names and drove off.
the last time we spoke to him, it was following. So he had had a lot to say at the town hall meeting, and
Right.
he was lambasted. And then the next day, after the department was inaugurated, he was beaten up in front of Mission Road PD. And his perception is that no one is taking on that case and that they fired him for it.
Okay.
He's not self-reflecting that not everyone knows what the hell happened and that he has to work with
Right.
officers and not just expect immediate
Right.
reaction.
No, I get you.
So,
All right. Well, I'll keep my ear out.
right.
Thank you for the information, Brian.
anytime.
I'll see you later. Okay.
Stay safe.
Did they? Well, that's good news. No, we're out in Los Santos, San Andreas.